Welcome to Creatacast with your host, David Welch. This is a special, very short show. The theme of this show, and yes, there's nature. I'm walking outside, and you hear kids in the background. Those are my kids. They're having fun. Anyways, aside from that, today's show is specifically about spoiling content or spoiling what happens or takes place in a book, television series, or film, or any damn thing that you're looking forward to. When people spoil something for you, it can ruin the experience. Because you already know what happens. You may not know exactly the mechanisms to get to the result, but you do know the result. And that, to me, happened a lot with the Harry Potter books. If you weren't one of the first people to go out there and snag a book and read it in the first 8 hours it's out, then you were one of those people who had to sit next to the person who was a speed reader and spoil the entire fucking book the next day, either online in some capacity, in some forum or Facebook or whatever have you, or even just at the office. Or you had to be abreast of the situation and be considerate, like, you know, everybody else, like, and not say a fucking word about what just took place. I watched Endgame. Haven't posted about it. Haven't said a fucking word because I know what happens or what can happen to people that it spoil the experience of the film. Mark Ruffalo aside, which I love Mark Ruffalo, if he throws out like a spoiler or something like that, yep, that's a knock on him in Marvel Studios. But if it's some dude who saw the 6 o'clock show and people are going into the 8, 9, 10 o'clock show, not knowing what takes place, and you start talking to those folks about what happens in the film, you may end up like the guy who had his ass severely beat for spoiling Endgame for people. A lot of people do it on social media. They'll jump right on social media to be a dick and post, like last night with Game of Thrones. People jumping on social media. Now, without doing a spoiler, you could say, holy cow, or exclamation this or that or whatever. Or you may even just throw a character out there. We're still none the wiser with what happens. But if you start getting into details about what happens in what situation, what scene, and etc., you are playing a deadly game of losing friends. And not just losing friends, but people are so engrossed and ingrained in their literature and their escapist entertainment that they will perform acts of violence against you for spoiling their entertainment. If you think I'm playing, look at the news. The news will tell you all about it. Local news really goes into detail. The local news will be like, woman spoiled Game of Thrones for husband. Husband put her in a shredder.
Can I get some water here?
No, I'm not putting water in there. Go. I'm not doing it. Go ask Miss Priscilla. Go. So, that's exactly what can happen. So if you spoil the show for people, people don't like it. Couples will even not communicate for weeks if you spoil something for the spouse. Now, if you're clever to watch it and then not say anything, and you can keep your mouth shut, that just goes to your testament of, hey, despite what happens, I'm not going to spill the beans and I'm not going to give myself up. Those are the people I want around me, because if I'm in an interrogation room and you're in the other interrogation room, I know you're not going to spill the beans, and I know you're not going to rat me out. Those are people you can trust. Those are people you can bring with you. But if you're the type of person that's going to spoil, or what's even worse, in some instances, are people that are in the theater with you talking about what everybody else sees, right? They're the ones that are spoiling shit for you as you go. They're the ones that are saying, or like at my theater, when I was watching Endgame, there was a guy who literally said, hey, I was at the pre-screening for this, and he started to even utter like what happens, and I moved seats. I was like, nope, not doing it. Not fucking doing it. Not sitting next to the guy that knows everything that's going to happen and is telling everything to his girlfriend or some chick who he's on a date with about what's about to happen. Not going to do it. Not going to play the game. Did I get violent? No, I'm not going to do that. But I did fucking move. You know, if it was me and someone else, I would have just told him to shut up. But it wasn't. It was just me. Actually, I did have a buddy with me. I did have my best friend in the whole world with me. But we were okay. We were in a good situation where we moved far enough away where we didn't hear his ass. But don't spoil television series for people. Some people cannot see the show when it airs. That happens all the times. Same thing with the Emmys, award shows, things that are of note. Now, people live and die on their social media. I get it. They're on there all the time. But if you can have the decency to wait maybe a week or two before you spill the beans on a film, before you spill the beans on something that somebody else is looking forward to. In fact, it's good practice not to mention it at fucking all until you're pretty damn sure each one of your friends has at least seen it once. So don't, just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're about to go see something, or you're some punk kid listening to this podcast because you're like trying to improve yourself or whatever have you, and you're trying to like, or you know someone who is exactly this way. Now, don't punch them because this might infuriate you, but you know someone who is more than willing to spill the beans on a show or a film, and they do it just out of spite. They do it just to be an asshole. Those people will eventually catch hands with the wrong person. I'm telling you because it's already happened. It's already come into existence. So if you know that person, give them a word of advice and say, don't fucking spoil anything this week because so-and-so's boyfriend is a big fucking mean dude and he may break your jaw when he sees you if you spoil this film for him or you spoil this show. And cockily, they're going to be like, oh, no, I can take him, or, oh, that dude won't do shit. It's, that dude won't do shit until he does. Or, that girl won't do shit until she does. Whatever it is, I'm telling you, it happens. There have been murders for less. So don't be that person. If a new book comes out, I don't care what genre it is. If a new book comes out and it's hot on the market like Maze Runner, I remember this distinctly. Never heard of Maze Runner. Everybody's talking about, oh man, you got to read this book. Okay, I'm excited to read the book. I was excited to read the book up until people were already telling me what happens in book 2. I'm like, well, fuck, I haven't even caught up to book 1 yet. So that spoils the whole fun for me. Yeah, I read the books anyway because I'm an English teacher and I love young adult literature. But I already knew what was going to fucking happen. And it pissed me off that I knew. And it made me want to go back and knock the person out who was blabbing their mouth about the book. Now, you, like I said, you can talk about a book or a novel or a film or a TV show without spilling the beans, without providing a detail that might be valuable to somebody's ego and happiness going into the following week or going into the opportunity to read the book. There are kids now, because I grew up in the Harry Potter generation. Like, I grew up reading those books. I was like a freshman or a sophomore when they came out. Everybody was into them. I dug them. So, if kids nowadays are starting to get into the books, like everybody in my generation saying, hey, please read these books. These were kind of monumental in our childhood. Well, don't be the asshole that says, well, this is what happens. And, well, you should probably just watch the movies. Don't do that. Don't fucking do that. And don't ever tell someone to watch the movie because it's better than the book. Because more often than not, that's not fucking true. Okay? Just don't do that. I don't care if it's sci-fi, horror, whatever. Orson Scott Card, love him to death. I have not read Shadows in Flight. I have not read a couple of the new books. Yes, I'm getting around to it. But hey, like, it's gonna happen. But don't be the person that says, hey, Dave, you were talking about Shadows in Flight. Well, this is what happens. Don't fucking tell me. I don't want to fucking know. Don't fucking tell me. I will find out. People were, like, really espousing Sons of Anarchy. And I believed that the show was good.